the jury, the defendant, and all counsel. The state may call its next witness.
The state calls Esteban Flores.
Spell your first and last name.
Esteban, E-S-T-E-B-A-N. Flores is F-L-O-R-E-S.
Okay. You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Your name, sir?
My name is Esteban Flores,
Who do you work for?
the City of Mesa Police Department.
And what do you do for them?
I'm currently assigned to the homicide unit as a detective.
Drawing your attention back to June of 2008, where were you assigned?
I was assigned in homicide.
And did you have occasion when you were assigned to this unit to investigate the killing of somebody by the name of Travis Alexander?
Yes, I did.
With regard to that, what were your duties or what were you assigned to do?
I was assigned as the lead case agent for
And
this particular case.
Lead agent, what are you required to do?
Respond to the scene, investigate the actual crime scene, talk to witnesses, and basically try to solve the crime.
When were you first called out to the home?
I was called out on the 9th, just a little after 10 o'clock at night.
And did the investigation begin then, or did it sort of get started the next day?
It got started the next day.
Why is that? Why didn't you do that at night?
Well, at that point, we began talking to some witnesses who were at the scene, but we needed to get a search warrant to get into the house before we began the initial scene investigation.
And that search warrant wasn't available until the next day?
Correct.
And the next day while you were or that night while you were at the scene, were you notified that somebody wanted to talk to you?
Yes.
And who was the person that wanted to talk to you that night?
That night was Jodi Arias.
And was it a telephone call that she made?
Yes.
Did you take the call that night of June 9th, 2008?
No, I did not.
How about the next day? Did you, when you were out, what happened the next day? Did you go to the scene?
Yes, I was at the scene.
About what time did you get there?
Actually, I was still there from the night before.
And during that day, the 10th now, correct?
Yes.
Did you receive any indication that Jodi Arias wanted to talk to you?
Yes, I received a phone call from a fellow officer stating that a female by the name of Jodi Arias wanted to talk to me.
And did she leave a telephone number?
Yes, she did.
So this is the second attempt that has been made, correct?
Yes.
About what time were you notified of this second attempt by the defendant?
It was in the morning, before 10 o'clock or so.
Did you then return that call?
Yes, I did.
And about what time?
Right around that same time.
And prior to speaking to this individual, well, let's do it this way. Whenever you talk to witnesses, do you always Mirandize them or not?
No.
With regard to this telephone call with her, did you Mirandize her?
No.
Why not?
She wasn't in custody.
So Miranda warnings are only required when somebody's in custody, correct?
Yes.
So this telephone call that you had with her, was it something that you tape recorded or not?
Yes, I did tape record it.
And during this telephone call, was there a discussion about whether or not Travis Alexander had a gun?
Yes.
I'm going to show you exhibit number 273. Did you listen to this before you came to court today?
Yes, I did.
And is this the portion of the recording that you had on June 10th involving whether or not Travis Alexander had a gun?
Yes.
I move for the admission of exhibit number 273.
Any objection?
This one I haven't heard.
Can I call you again if I need more information or if I have another question? Do you have any questions I can answer for you?
Yeah, do you know when all this happened? I mean, I got a call last night, but is there any word on?
Sometime between Thursday and last night. We're not sure yet. We haven't pinpointed yet.
And you said that maybe multiple people, because he's a big guy. It was, maybe you can't talk about this, but was there like any kind of weapon used, or was there was there a gun? Was there?
I can't say what type of weapon was used, but yeah, I'm guessing there was a weapon used by the type of injuries that were left behind. Do you know of him having any weapons at all in the house?
His two fists,
That's it?
really. No, yeah,
No handguns or rifles or
no, he wasn't one to keep any of that I
fighting
he used
knives
to-
or anything like that.
No, he was more into like wrestling and UFC, and he had a, he said he had just bought a punching bag, and he's like, I love kicking the crap out of the punching bag,
Yeah,
But-
sort of.
That's a portion of the conversation, correct?
Yes, it is.
Did the conversation also deal with their relationship, their dating life, and that sort of thing?
Yes, it did.
I'm going to show you exhibit number 272. This is also another clip. Does that deal with that portion of your conversation with her?
Yes.
And this is the initiating point of the conversation, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Move for the admission of exhibit 272.
Judge, I'm going to continue to do these excerpts haven't been provided to defense beforehand. The tape has, but I don't know what excerpts has.
Council approach. Mr. Martinez?
The state has provided the entirety of this tape recording to the defendant and has done and did so approximately 3 years ago.
All right, exhibit 272 is admitted.
610-08, 1435 hours, interview with Jodi Arias. Number 2008-1610804.
hello,
Hello, can you speak to Jodi, please?
this is Jodi.
Hey, Jodi, this is Detective Steve Flores of MESA, Arizona Police Department.
Oh, hey, how are you?
Good. I just got a message from one of my patrol officers that you needed to talk to me about something.
Well, I just wanted to offer any assistance that I might have. I was a really good friend of Travis's, and I just, I know that I don't know a lot of anything, but
What have you heard so far?
I heard that he passed away, and that it was, I don't know. I've heard all kinds of rumors. I heard there was a lot of blood. I heard that his roommate found him, or his friend found him, or people were. I'm sorry. It's all. I'm upset, but I've heard that nobody's been able to get a hold of him for almost a week, and that was about the last time I spoke to him too. Which is actually why I thought my friend said I should call you anyway and let you know the last time I talked to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any help we can get from anybody who had any kind of contact with him, any phone
Yeah,
contact.
I used to talk to him quite regularly. I used to live there. I live in Northern California now. But after I moved a few months ago, and after I moved, we kept in touch very regularly, and kind of fell back a little bit, and it got down to about a couple times a week, but I hadn't heard from him. I talked to him on Tuesday night. I looked at my phone records on the internet to check, and I definitely talked to him Tuesday night.
So was that your cell phone, or
Yeah, that was my cell. It's the only phone I have. So.
is this the number that I called?
Yeah.
Okay. So and that was Tuesday night. Do you remember about what time?
I think it was, I want to say like 9:15, but I think it was sometime between 8 and 10. So I know it wasn't as late as 10. Probably between 8:30 and 9:30 more so. Yeah, I think.
And what did you guys talk about?
It was brief. I was driving out to Utah, and he was like, "Are you gonna come out and see me?" And I'm like, "No." And he's supposed to make a trip up here at the end of the month because thing that we are doing. It's called there's a book called 1,000 Places to See Before You Die, and it's been featured on the Travel Channel and all that. And we sort of got into that last year where we were starting to see all these different places on the list, and we thought, 1,000 places is a lot of places, but why not? That would be a fun goal. So we each kind of have that goal, and one of the places is the Oregon Coast and the Shakespearean Festival, and so he was going to come up here for that, and we were just going to go see that in Crater Lake and just different landmarks. And
Was that trip already scheduled, or was it just something you guys talked about?
It wasn't officially like dated, but I had been trying to reach him so that I could solidify my own schedule because I was planning on making a trip down there soon. But it was supposed to happen in May, and then it's supposed to happen last week, and that didn't work out. So he was going to leave for Cancun today, and then he said as soon as he gets back from Cancun, he was canceling the trip because he's going to drive up the coast. And when he reaches me, we'll go do some things, and then he'll continue on to Washington and see some friends up there. And then I guess that was supposed to happen before the beginning of July. July, he was supposed to go to Washington, D.C.
Okay. Did he have any issues with anybody here in town? Any enemies, anybody that wanted to do him harm?
You know, got his tires slashed. It was last year. He said he was worried about that, and I was worried about that. He never locked his doors, and I would tell him, lock your doors, and he's like, you're not my mom, you know. And he comes from a bad city. He comes from Ruby, California, which is gangs and violence. And I come from a similar type of neighborhood in California. So my parents and I, we've always locked our doors, and that's just my habit. But he doesn't have that habit, and he lives in a great neighborhood, and it's never been an issue. Nothing has ever been stolen. Nothing has ever been. He's never been, broken into. And he had his tires slashed. I don't remember when it was. It was last year, sometime around Christmas, I think. And other than that.
Now, how would you describe your relationship with him?
We dated for like 5 months, and we broke up, and we continued actually to see each other for quite a bit, right up until I moved.
When did you guys break up?
We officially broke up June 29th of last year. But even though we broke up, we were no longer boyfriend and girlfriend. We decided to remain friends, but, I kind of feel embarrassed talking about this, but it was more than friends, but it wasn't boyfriend and girlfriend. It was more like kind of buddy, you know what I mean?
Okay, so you guys were not, romantically together at any time, or?
We were intimate, but I wouldn't say romantic as far as the relationship goes, but we were in no way headed toward marriage. Or talking anything about that. We hung probably sometimes.
Now, you say intimate, does that include, a sexual relationship with him?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. I know it's kind of embarrassing to talk about stuff
I know,
like that, but you don't know me, so.
Yeah, and if you could just keep it confidential for now,
Yeah.
because I know that he's Mormon, not seriously looked down upon in our church, and I'm telling you this, it's to help in any way I can.
Okay, I appreciate it. So you actually moved back to California a couple of months ago?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, what date was that, do you remember?
I don't remember the exact date. I have the dates I rented the U-Haul. It was early April. Early, before April 10th. So it was after the 1st, but before the 10th. So I'm guessing 7th, 8th, 9th, maybe. I'd have to check the dates, though.
Did you stop by the house when you rented the U-Haul to say goodbye to him?
Oh, yeah. In fact, after I was almost moved out completely out of my house for about a week afterward, and I just stayed at his house the whole time. I practically lived there, even when I was there. I spent the night there several times a week while I lived there. I came over and I cleaned his house a lot. He paid me a little bit every month to keep his house nice and clean. Sort of like a housekeeper. So.
Did you ever happen to meet any of his roommates at that time?
At the time, yeah, I knew his group really well at the time. Various roommates. Some have moved out. One guy moved to Utah, and one guy moved to Phoenix. Zach I don't know if Zach is still there. I think he is.
Yeah, he is.
I knew Zach because I met him. And, we sort of connected because he's a photographer like I am. And, he took the room that Aaron lived in previously, so. Yeah, Zach.
And what do you think about Zach? What do you think his relationship is with your ex-boyfriend?
He seemed like a nice guy. When I first met him, he seemed just like a normal guy. He's a returned missionary and he served. Okay, good. I didn't lose you. He served his mission, I think in Arizona, and he liked it so much that he moved back. He knew Travis from church, so, you know, yeah, him and his girlfriend were there. I think there was some alcohol there at one time, and Travis, was suspicious about it, but he said he used it for cooking. You know, that's fine, because, you know, Mormons don't drink alcohol, but,
Well, some do.
yeah, so they're not supposed to. And Travis, you know, that's another thing when it came to that. We call it the word of wisdom: no alcohol, tobacco, drugs, or coffee or tea. And he was just super, super, super strict on that. He wouldn't even take Excedrin for a headache because it had caffeine. Like, he's so strict on that. I'm a little less strict on that. I'll pop Excedrin any day, but
There's a lot of Diet Cokes in the fridge.
yeah, they're not Travis's. I can guarantee that. He wouldn't even touch Coke. So it's one of his other roommates, I guess.
Okay, and that was around April that you last saw him, right?
Early April.
You haven't been back in town since then?
No, I haven't at all.
Okay, I thought somebody had mentioned your name, and you've been back in town for like a week or a couple of days.
Oh, I've been thinking about going there. So yeah, I've been definitely planning on heading down there.
But you haven't physically been here since you left?
Since I moved, no, I haven't. I was gonna go this week, actually, while he was in Cancun and stay at his house, but it's just not in the budget. So.
Well, was that something that you guys had scheduled, that you were gonna come down and stay at his house when he was gone?
Yeah, no, actually, not. That's what I had emailed him about last week, because it was kind of last minute. Because I was gonna go. I'm looking at a calendar here. I was gonna go not this week, but the next, and then he was gonna come up here that following week, which was before July. And it all sounds kind of weird. We're all like travelers, and I figured, you know, it would be a good idea if I would have a place to stay. His house is open all the time to friends. I mean, anybody in his business or anybody that comes to visit, he gives up his bed. He'll sleep on the couch. He lets them have the whole room. So it just didn't seem like, he said the door is always open, so I would have felt totally okay just showing up and staying at his house and eating his frozen dinners, et cetera, et cetera. And he would have been fine with that too. And I just, you know, he said just always give me a heads up. So I asked him, you know, let me know if that's cool. If not, I'll make other arrangements. And I never heard back.
And when was that email sent out?
Just a few days ago. I'm in front of the computer, so I can check right now for you.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, hang on a second. I just log into my account.
What's his email address?
Yeah, to his email.
Yeah, well, what is his email address, do you know? Offhand.
His email is travis.alexander@gmail.com. Let's see. I sent one on June 7th. Haven't heard back from you. He got a little bit upset when I said I wasn't driving out to see him, but he gets upset real easily. I don't know, he likes to hang over me a little bit, and we kind of guilt each other sometimes.
So you guys still had a fairly decent relationship as friends?
We did. We had a really
good... People that we talked to said that you guys, that your relationship was kind of rocky, and it got a little crazy at times, or...
It did. What happened was when I broke up with Travis around last year, because it was all really dumb. It was a bunch of drama. I had the suspicion that he was cheating on me, and so I looked in his phone to find out, and I found all these text messages, and like it just all blew up, and it was like we realized we couldn't trust each other. So I mean, we broke up at that point, but we were still attracted to each other, and we still loved each other. So it wasn't the best thing, but we still hung out all the time together, and it didn't really help either of us to move on, because I haven't really dated anyone since, and he told me that he hadn't dated anyone since, but then he told me that he has. So it's all been kind of weird, because we kept our dating lives sort of from each other, like a don't ask, don't tell policy, sort of. And I think it worked out. It was more convenient for us. I figured, you know, if he didn't have a girlfriend, then I'm okay coming over. And as long as he didn't think that I was with anybody, then he was fine too. So just the less we knew about each other's dating lives or romantic lives, the better that we the better off we were. So, it was sent June 7th. Yeah, this is the one I sent about letting you know that I cannot.
And what town are you in again?
I'm sorry?
What town are you in again?
I'm in Yreka, California. Yreka.
Yreka?
Uh-huh.
Oh, where is that at?
It is 15 minutes from Oregon, and it's on Interstate 5.
Okay, alright, so just right, Oregon border.
Yeah. Inland.
Not close to the coast.
No, unfortunately.
I had some other questions. I'm trying to remember what they were. I mean, you kind of lived in the house for a while. You knew the surroundings and the house, the kind of furniture he had, the bedding and stuff. Can you describe his bedroom bedding and stuff for me? It's kind of an unusual question, but.
No, that's fine. I spent a lot of time in there. He's got like, I don't know if it's like Egyptian cotton or whatever, but it's a really nice brown linen, and it's soft. It's not like flannel, but it's soft. And he always brags to everyone about his IntelliGel bed, like it's really comfy. So he's got a great mattress, and it's like, apparently it's like this $5,000 mattress that he picked up for really, really cheap because it was a showroom thing or it was a return, or somehow he got a really sweet deal on it. So it's a king size. I don't know if it's California or what, but it's a king size bed. It's kind of like I think it's like a sleigh bed. It's dark wood.
But the bedding is mainly like a brown linen, really nice cotton linen.
Yeah, he has, it's maybe different patterns on the sheets versus the comforter, but the sheets are brown and the comforter is brown and the pillowcases are brown.
What? So the color of the comforter is brown as well? Does it have any type of pattern or
It
like
does.
tassels or edging?
No, I think it has stripes. I think it has like, and they're not like colored stripes, they're just like stripes in the brown pattern itself.
Oh, like, it's dark brown, but it's got a little bit darker brown, like threading?
Yeah, you can see that there's a pattern there. And the sheets may be more of like a checkered thing, I think, if I remember correctly. And his cover too, his bedspread is like, it's a down comforter that's white, and then it's got like I don't know what he used to call it, it has a special name. But
It's like a duvet cover?
Yes, it's a duvet.
What does the duvet look like?
It comes like it's got buttons on the end, and it covers the whole thing, and you slide the actual comforter inside the duvet, which is what you pull off to wash, or you can, that kind of thing. So, and we've, like many times, it's so hard to get in there with one person, so you kind of just grab the corners and we pull it in together on one side, and then you just sort of fluff it out and then button up the buttons.
Yeah, 'cause that down kind of just shoves over in one corner. It doesn't want to spread out.
Yeah, exactly.
So it didn't have like any type of edging or tassels or anything like that you know of, like a light brown.
Not that I remember.
Is there anything in the house that resembled anything with some type of small tan, rope-ish kind of material or edging or anything like that? A blanket?
He may have pillows. Yeah, he may have had pillows. Yeah, he has pillows on his bed, not on the bed, but on the chair that's next to his bed.
Yeah.
There's those. There's also a round pillow that he uses to make his bed, and there's just one, he puts it in the center. And there may be some kind of tassel thing on that.
Do you know anybody back here still that still has contact with him?
Yeah, lots of people, tons of people.
Is that how you found out about what had happened?
A friend of mine, Dan Freeman, called me last night. I met Dan through Travis.
Dan Friedman.
Freeman. Yeah, Freeman.
Okay, yeah, we talked to him as well.
I met him last year with his sister when we all took a trip out to the Grand Canyon and to Sedona.
So he called you last night and told you what happened?
Yeah, yeah, he did. He didn't have a lot of information.
Any idea what everybody's talking about, what they're saying, what their suspicions are?
They're saying, everything that I've heard was that, and I got a lot of my information from Bishop Layton, more details, and he's basically that they took everybody and separated them, and I don't know who everybody is. I'm assuming Zach, because he was there, and his girlfriend, because I called Zach's cell phone, and she couldn't tell me anything, but she answered. And she said, there are a lot of people here that I don't know, but Zach's not here, so it didn't make sense. And I was confused, but she couldn't tell me anything. So I didn't get a lot out of her, but Bishop Layton said he was there for 4 hours, and they interviewed everybody, and they all went to the police station, and they're treating it as a suspicious death. And I heard from my friend, Dave Hall, that there was a lot of blood, and I don't know if that's just a rumor that's going around or true. And I also heard that his services will be in California, but that they haven't released his body to his grandma yet. So that's all I've really heard so far.
Well, I can tell you that we're investigating it as a homicide.
Okay.
And not a suspicious death anymore. It's pretty obvious. And it's important for us to find out why somebody would want to do harm to him.
Exactly.
What kind of stuff he was possibly involved in, or maybe it just could have been as simple as a burglary or an intruder or something that had gone wrong.
I'm wondering, because he's so, when they said suspicious death, I thought, well, he's trying to shed pounds for Cancun, so he looks good in boxers or a bathing suit or whatever, or swim trunks, and, I know that he takes, or I thought he takes supplements, and he works out really, really hard. I've seen him work out, and it's a very intense routine, and he has these heavy dumbbells that he uses, and he's so strong. I mean, there are a couple times we've tried to wrestle just for fun, and he showed me some moves, and there's just no, I don't see how anyone, unless maybe there were 2 people, I don't see how anyone could overpower him unless there was...
He's a pretty good-sized guy.
Yeah, he was close to 200 pounds, I think.
Yeah. It would take, I would say, 2 people, if not maybe more, to kind of overpower him. I've tried with officers, working this job, to take down a woman at 135 pounds who's out of control, and it's difficult to control, somebody like that. No ideas come to mind, why somebody would want to hurt him. Did he owe somebody money? Did he have any worries or concerns about anybody?
He did owe people money, but they were all good friends. They weren't, it wasn't a bad situation. It was, in fact, there was one family that lent him money that's very, very wealthy from what I understand, and it's not like it hurt them to lend him the money. Of course, they expected him to pay it back, and he had a very reasonable timeline. And they also had a really good collateral in case he didn't pay back. They owned a piece of stock that he owned, so if they didn't pay him back, it was like $6,000 or something. I think it was $6,000. But if he didn't get them paid back on time, then they would just keep his stock, which would eventually be worth over $25,000. So I mean, I don't think they were worried about that at all. That's the Hyatt family. Brent Hyatt was there last night. But that was when he was struggling financially several months back, and I don't know. I haven't talked to him about how that's going since. But I know that.
What's the situation with the car that was? Somebody mentioned a BMW.
Yeah, I'm buying his BMW.
Okay, because we found a check that was written by you to him. I think it was last month.
Yeah, I recently mailed him a check. I mailed him that and a few other things. I'm making payments to him.
Okay, and you still have that car right now?
No, it's actually not in my possession. I did the dumbest thing. I went and hooked it up to the U-Haul. Everything was cool and set to go. And I got the dolly where the back wheels are on the ground because it was cheaper.
Yeah.
And the U-Haul guy said, okay, drive it up here, okay, stop, brake, and everything was cool, and I stopped the car, turned it off, got the car, left the door open so they could look at everything, and they shut the door and said, you're good to go, and I took off, and this is going to sound really dumb, I realize now that this is not how you tow a car, but I left it in first gear, and I started headed down the highway, and I blew the engine to smithereens. It looked like it gave birth all over the highway. There's just black oil everywhere. And so it's sitting at Wes's Auto something, last time I checked. It's sitting there in Mesa. And the guy's been really nice about just keeping it until Travis figures out what he's going to do. We've called lawyers about it, and my lawyer said, have your insurance fix it, and his lawyer said your insurance might not fix it because it might be considered mechanical. So that's the last we talked about it. We've been, he's been real busy and hasn't had a lot of time to attend to it. And I have a vehicle right now, but not for much longer because I have to give it back to the bank. So, either way.
When did you mail that payment? End of May?
It was a few weeks ago. Yeah, it must have been.
So you're still making payments to that?
Oh yeah. In fact, that's my first payment because we just did this car deal like right before I moved, and he said we have a buyer's agreement too. I think that I typed out and emailed to him. But we have, like he said, just get on your feet, and then start sending payments. And the agreement was X amount per month, whatever I could pay. So finally got a job and gave him that payment for $200.
What was $200 the amount?
Yeah. It was $100 a month minimum. If you could,
Okay.
Minimum. And if I could pay more, please. Kind of thing.
Okay. We did talk to certain people, and I don't want to tell you this. I don't want to make you feel bad, but they didn't have the best of things to say about you. They felt that you were either taking advantage of him or just hanging around when you weren't wanted. They mentioned that you would sometimes end up going into his house. You were in his house when he didn't want you there, and he would ask you to leave, but you would continue to return. There was also some talk about you spying on his email and Facebook accounts, those kinds of things.
He gave me his Facebook password and his MySpace password, and I gave him my Facebook password and my Gmail account password. And the reason we did that is because it was kind of dumb. We did that months and months ago, and we thought, what can we do to try to reestablish trust between us? And why don't we start with that? And so that's what we did, and then it just didn't work. He got really upset finally, and he's like, this isn't working. And I said, all right, this is too much of a headache. Let's just change our passwords. So we did. We changed our passwords after that.
How long ago did you guys change them?
I changed mine, not long ago, probably 3 weeks ago maybe. And I don't know about his because once he made it clear that he wasn't comfortable with that anymore, I didn't even try to get back into his account anymore. So.
Yeah, I've been married almost 20 years, and I don't have my wife's email.
Really? I know it's.
You just have to trust sometimes.
It's true. It's true. And I told him, we've had hours upon hours of conversation, and I said, I just don't know if I could ever trust you again, and he doesn't know if he could ever trust me again because I might always want to get back into his phone and find out, does he really have something going on or what? Because, he did at one point, and so he said, yeah, I understand that, and he said, but if we were married, you would have all my passwords to everything because there wouldn't be anything to worry about.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's nice,
Yeah.
but we're not married. So, and as far as getting into his emails, that never happened. What he has on his computer is he would oftentimes just leave his computer on, and he'll leave his Gmail window up. And there were times when I got on his computer to look up other things, and if his Gmail window was open, then I would just close it. That would constantly get into his email.
I had to mention that to you because we are getting a search warrant for his email, Gmail and Facebook and those accounts. And accessed it from somewhere else at a certain time, you know, if you access it from California, we're going to know.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now that I did.
Okay.
He gave me his passwords. No, the only accounts that I've accessed though were MySpace and Gmail because those were the only passwords
And
that
how
he gave me.
long ago? When was the last time you actually accessed them?
Weeks ago, we had a conversation where it's like he made it clear that he wasn't comfortable with that anymore, and I said that's okay. And I changed my Gmail account password because he got into that too, and then he saw another guy's email there, and gave me a hard time about it, and so it just was dumb. You know, we're both trying to move on, and
Yeah.
we're both, I don't know, it was weird.
Seems like there was a lot of jealousy issues.
I think there might have been on both parts. For me, it wasn't so much jealousy as it was like I just wanted to know, like I just wanted him to be honest. And for him, I think one of the reasons I moved was because we were spending too much time together and we weren't moving on, and it wasn't able to. I mean, I guess I could have dated other people, but our social circles were so small that anytime you heard about something, it just wasn't good.
Did you move down here the first time because of him?
Yeah, I moved there because of him, and I moved away because of him. Primarily, I also moved away for financial reasons. I'm with my grandparents now, but you know, there were three main reasons I moved here. One, I missed my family, and two, financially, and three was because of travel. And the main reason that I moved there was because of travel.
Okay. Yeah, because when we first arrived on scene and started talking to people, some of his closest friends, you know, began mentioning your name as, you know, hey, you need to call her because she probably knows what happened to him, or she possibly had something to do with it.
Oh gosh, no, I've had
That's how bad it was getting at the scene. And I needed to talk to you to find out why they would say something like that. Why they would start pointing fingers in your direction right away.
I don't know. Maybe because I'm the ex-girlfriend, we've had lots of fights.
Was there a lot of issues? You know, I mean, obviously it wasn't a great relationship.
It was great for a while until we started fighting because I did know one thing and I got into his phone because I had a suspicion that he wasn't being faithful, and I found, you know, a bunch of text messages that were no good, and rather than being an adult about it and confronting him, I kept it in and I kind of let it fester, and you know, I was miserable and I didn't know why, and I wanted to tell him, but I was worried that it would just lead to an unnecessary fight, and then I realized this was no kind of relationship, so it finally all came out, and he was really apologetic, but we just both realized that neither of us could be in an adult relationship, and that was June of last year. So at that point, we continued to see each other, you know, a long time after that.
Well, you know, I'm glad I did get a hold of you again. You did call me because it kind of clears up a lot of the questions I had, a lot of the concerns. It's not what I don't think it's what these people thought was going on. So.
I should probably tell you that, you know, Travis, when he got upset, he would send me really mean emails. He would send me mean text messages and things. You'll find probably some stuff on his Facebook. I know for sure you'll find one on his Facebook and definitely in his Gmail, and you're welcome to access all of my accounts too if you want. With Travis,
well, we're probably gonna subpoena all his Facebook and Gmail and everything to see who he was communicating with, what he was saying, what he was saying to him.
Okay.
I'm not sure how far back. We usually go 6 months to a year.
Okay.
But in a case like this, we need to know, who had some type of beef with him, why they would do something like this to him.
Yeah. don't think that, honestly, I haven't seen or heard from him since he was kicked out. I think his last name was Brown. I could try to find him on lbslinkup.com, but that was so long ago, though. That was last spring of 2007, March even. And what happened was he got kicked out because he was considered like borderline sexual predator, not like a rapist, but coming on to girls and that kind of thing. And it's just really looked down upon in the church. And so he was disfellowshipped, and Travis said, "You need to get out, get your stuff out of my house." And it wasn't a friendly situation. It was said over the phone because he and I were in Missouri and somewhere back east, just touring, and Thomas was.
So he ended up kicking him out at that time?
Yeah, he kicked him out at the time, but Thomas, he's a really big guy, but he doesn't seem like he doesn't seem violent. He seemed pretty gentle. He just seemed like a little bit thuggish, but like he was trying to act the part, not because he was that. Maybe because he thought it would like attract chicks or something. I don't know. So he seems honestly like I didn't know him that well, but he seemed like a big dumb teddy bear.
Sir, as part of this conversation, was there also a discussion between you and the defendant about whether or not she had some regrets about not being there at the time of the attack?
Yes.
And is that memorialized in this clip 274 as to what her feelings are about whether or not she should have been there?
Yes.
I move for the admission of exhibit 274.
Again, Judge, I'm going to object to the admission of another excerpt that I am not.
Please approach.
And what was your first name? Steve Flores. Steve, okay. And I just wanted to say, again, that Travis and I had an on-off kind of relationship. We just weren't talking a lot the last several weeks, a couple times a week, and I just keep saying, what if I just gone down there, what if I had never moved and I would have been there and I could have, I don't know.
So you guys continued to talk this whole time, huh?
Yeah, definitely. It was more sporadic. But we usually talk late at night, like anywhere between 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. and like 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning. He was kind of.
Did he have any other cell phones besides? Well, we found one cell phone.
No, he had. I'm pretty sure he didn't. Otherwise, I'd know about it. He had his Verizon cell phone and he had his landline.
I don't have any other questions at this time, however, I will recall them.
Cross-examination.
Hello, Detective.
Hello.
I was going to ask you about the portion of your work that Mr. Martinez just spoke to you about, all right?
Okay.
But before we do that, let me back up just a little bit. You mentioned that you were called out to the scene.
Yes.
Okay. How does that work exactly?
The call usually comes in from a patrol officer to my supervisor. We had 2 supervisors at that time in the homicide unit, and they make the decision on who to call out to investigate that particular homicide that night.
Okay. So when you received the call to asking you to go out to this address on Queensboro, what information did you have?
The only information I had was that there was a suspicious death, and they gave me the address on Queensboro, and they didn't have any further information.
Okay. And you recall, as best you can estimate, how long a time period was it between the time that you received that call and by the time you arrived at the house on Queensboro?
It was within an hour.
Okay. And describe for us, if you will, what the scene was when you arrived. What was going on when you pulled up to the house?
Well, the house was cordoned off with police caution tape. around the entire residence. Actually, the street was blocked off as well. And there were police vehicles and patrol officers and patrol supervisors there at that time.
Okay. You say the street was blocked off. Was that just in front of the house, or was that the entire street?
No, just in front of the house.
Okay. And it sounded, it seems to me like there were some, based on what Officer Williams told us, there were some people around the house. Where were they?
They were off on one of the corners, probably about 30 to 40 yards away from the house.
Okay. And why don't you tell us, were there several officers there, or just kind of give us a description of that?
Anywhere from around 4 to 6 officers, I would say.
Okay. So the crime scene had been cordoned off, the people were put into a certain area, correct?
They weren't really put in an
Okay.
area, but they were off on a corner somewhere. There were neighbors and, from what I could tell, friends of Travis.
Okay. And tell us what you did when you got up to the house.
We first met with the patrol supervisor,
Okay.
uniform patrol supervisor there, and we received a briefing of what they've received so far, the information, and what they've done up to that point.
Okay. And that was the night of the 9th?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And you said you were there till the early morning hours of the 10th?
We were there pretty much the entire day, the rest of the day as well.
Okay. So how long did you stay on that first night?
I don't recall the exact time, but I know it was evening. It was dark when we left
Okay.
on the 10th.
Okay. And then you returned the 10th
Yes,
in the morning?
yes.
Okay. And this phone call we just heard about, we just heard excerpts from, I should say. When did that take place?
That took place late morning, early afternoon on the 10th.
Okay. And then when you referenced, during that phone call, you just heard it, correct?
Yes,
You referenced people talking about Miss Arias being a stalker, or always around when she wasn't supposed to be, that sort of thing. Where did that information come from?
that information came from some of my fellow officers and fellow detectives who I assigned to go talk and interview some of the people at the scene.
Okay. So they conduct interviews with these various people, and then you discuss what they learned
Yes.
with them? Okay. And did you talk to anyone specifically that night?
We conducted some interviews at the MESA police station. Mimi Hall, who was here testifying, we talked to her and some of the roommates as well.
Okay.
There was 2 roommates in particular.
And that was part of your portion of the initial investigation, right? The
Yes.
part you did yourself? Okay. I want to again focus in on that phone call. Miss Arias told you that Travis's weapons were his 2 fists. You recall hearing that?
Yes.
A few minutes ago? Okay. She also mentioned that he, I think her words were to the effect of, loves beating the crap out of a punching bag.
Yes.
Okay. Was there a punching bag found in the home?
Yes, there was.
Okay. And where was that located?
It was, I would say, the downstairs living room area.
Okay. And could you describe that for us? Because I know sometimes there's punching bags that sit on the ground, sometimes hang from the ceiling.
It's one of the type that sits on the ground. It has the larger base. I don't know, it's filled with water or sand or something.
Okay.
And then it has the punching bag padded area above it.
Okay. And when you found that, or you observed that, and I should back up, you did enter the home that night, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And when you observed that punching bag, did it look like it was in place, like it had been used recently? Do you know?
I couldn't tell.
She also mentioned in this phone call that she was employed by Mr. Alexander to clean his home.
Yes.
Okay. Did you later went through, you talked also in this phone call about going through, subpoenaing his Facebook, his MySpace, Gmail, all that stuff, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And did you review those materials?
No, I never subpoenaed them at that time. It was at a later date.
Okay, at a later date.
Yes.
But you did eventually get to reviewing those materials?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember how much later that was?
A year,
Okay.
year and a half.
Year and a half
I
later?
can't remember the specific date, but yeah.
All right. Do you remember seeing an email from Mr. Alexander to Miss Arias where he provides her a picture of the French maid outfit that he would like her to don when she cleans his apartment, or his home, excuse me?
That doesn't sound familiar.
Okay.
I don't remember that.
All right. You also asked Miss Arias about rope or tassels, or when you were talking about the bedding, you specifically brought up rope or tassels. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Could you tell us why you did that?
In part of the scene, we actually saw a small piece of fabric. It appeared to be maybe part of a tassel. And it was right in the middle of the scene in the bathroom.
Okay. A moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
If I can approach her. Detective, I'm going to hand you Exhibit 271. Exhibit 270. $269. $268. $267. $266. And $265. Now, Detective, I've showed you, do you recognize the exhibits I've put before you?
Yes.
Okay. And as it relates, there are some that relate to the bathroom area, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And there are some that are elsewhere in the house, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. But you recognize all those photos as true and accurate depictions of the crime scene that you saw that night?
Yes, they are.
Judge, I'd move for the omission of those exhibits.
Any objection?
No.
Exhibit 265, 266, 267, 268, 269, 270, and 271 are admitted.
May I publish, Your Honor?
May.
And for the record, Detective, we're going to begin with Exhibit 270. Could you describe for us what you see there?
Yeah, it's that piece of fabric listed as number 8
Okay.
with the placard 8.
And that is the rope or tassel you were referring to with Miss Arias during the phone call?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Detective, I'm going to show you Exhibit 271. And could you advise us what we're seeing there?
Same one as the last one, just at a different angle.
Okay. And again, for the record, Exhibit 265.
Yes. Another
Okay.
piece of rope or tassel.
All right. And that was, just so we're clear as well, that's another piece, correct? Not the
A
same.
separate piece,
Okay.
also in the bathroom area.
And Detective, if you could describe for us what we see in this exhibit?
That's same as the last one, item number 3, different angle.
And for the record, this is Exhibit 266. Detective, could you describe for us what you see in this exhibit?
You talking about the same placard, number 3?
2, 3,
Same.
and 4.
Yeah, same as the last. There were also other items there. I believe the other 2 and 4 were hair fibers.
And as we were talking earlier, pieces of this rope-like substance were also found elsewhere in the home, were they not?
Yes.
I want to show you, for the record, exhibit number 268. And could you describe for us what we see there?
Yes, another piece of the thread or string tassel, and this was actually on the stairs leading up to the bedroom.
Okay. And this would be that same piece of rope, just further depicting the stairs, is that correct?
Yes, yeah, without the placard.
Okay. Now, in terms of choosing to photograph these items, or do you direct a person to take certain pictures, or how does that work?
Yes, it's up to my direction.
Okay. And so then on, be it on the 9th or the 10th, your attention was drawn to this rope and thought it might be of significance in your investigation, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The other bit of conversation you had with Ms. Arias dealt with, she told you when you were discussing the emails, you were talking about getting into his emails, and she was talking about discussions they had while in the email account. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall her saying that he had said several mean things to her
Yes.
in these emails? And I guess according to your testimony previously, it was about a year and a half later that you actually looked at these emails, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Do you remember seeing emails in which Mr. Alexander referred to Miss Arias as a, quote, three-hole wonder,
Yes, I
Objection,
did.
hearsay.
as a slut,
Yes.
as a whore?
Yes.
Thank you, Detective.
Redirect.
Why was he referring to her like that? What had she done?
Speculation.
Sustain.
Well, you read that email, right? You responded to defense counsel, didn't you?
Yes.
Any knowledge that you have comes from that email, doesn't it?
Yes.
What did that email say? Why was he upset?
Objection calls for speculation.
Approach, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take the noon recess at this time. Please be back in the designated area at 1:25, and we will start promptly at 1:30. Please remember the admonition. Are there any questions? Have a nice lunch. You are excused.